Hi, so this is Andy from Able Training. Hopefully, you've been joining me on some of the blogs and vlogs that we've been doing over the last few months and year or so. I'm often doing these from hotel rooms around the country, so the background hopefully keeps you entertained and interested as I keep changing it up. But I thought I'd do a little vlog today. I've been up in the north of the country today, delivering on behalf of an organisation which is a dementia specialist charity that we do an awful lot of work with around the country. So I've been delivering some dementia awareness training today. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about some of the things we come across in question-wise related to dementia. So I've delivered dementia training for many, many years. It's one of the areas that we kind of specialise in as far as Able Training Support Limited is concerned. And just sort of talk about a few things. So I was doing training today for a recycling organisation. So my first thing when we kind of got there and we kind of looked into why they were having the training, because it was just a dementia awareness course, was is this something that's directly affecting the organisation, or is it something that you're obviously as a recycling centre, some of the individuals that work for you, are they engaging or encountering individuals that may potentially be living with dementia that they're finding difficult to understand, or it's creating confrontation and difficulties? And it turned out it was actually just an initiative they've got in the north of the country, which is looking at promoting kind of well-being within the workplace. I think it's a bit like investors in people kind of thing. So if they demonstrate certain criteria that they're looking to promote well-being and understanding of mental health issues within the workplace, then they can obviously accredit that against their company, which demonstrates them to be good employers and obviously to be a positive organisation, which I thought was a really positive initiative. It was nice to hear. And they've done lots of training around first aid and mental health, which is a course that we deliver, although we didn't deliver it for them, which I think is a very valuable course. I know there's some mixed feelings about it, but I genuinely think anything to raise awareness and destigmatise mental health issues is hugely important and hugely beneficial. And I think also just people knowing they can go and talk to somebody about potential mental health issues is fantastically positive for every workplace. So if you're not sure what first aid for mental health is, if you're not aware of the course, then please contact us or please Google search it to find out, because it is going to be a potential recommendation that every organisation that has a physical first aider in the country should also potentially have a psychological first aider or a mental health first aider. So that's something that's going to be on the rise, increasing, and more awareness should be around for that. So they've done some of that. They've also done some specific training around male and female problems, and one was on understanding the menopause and things like that. So some really good, positive sounding stuff. And the dementia one they were doing is because they found that many of the people who work there were potentially affected by dementia in their outside life. So they're potentially caring for those with dementia, or had a family member who was experiencing or living with dementia and freshly diagnosed. So it was a really nice group, really engaged, really interested. But it's still a thing of it kind of shocks me the level of the lack of understanding and the lack of awareness that there is out there. Of one, not really knowing that dementia isn't actually a condition unto itself. It's a set of symptoms that represents a brain disease or something that's affecting and impacting the brain that affects an individual's ability for communication, processing, perception, and communication. Because I think so many people, as soon as you say dementia, they immediately then go Alzheimer's, and they immediately go memory loss straight after that. And that's what we've come across a lot, and it's still overcoming that misconception that it isn't just about memory loss. And one of the things we do in our course is explore all the different ways that the different dementias as well, because there is over 200 individual types, so the different dementias kind of can affect the brain. Obviously, we don't go through each one of the 200, but we're just getting across the kind of the main key ones and how they may present differently, and the person may not initially have memory loss and yet still have a form of dementia. So it was really interesting. A lady on the course sort of said she'd seen a television program, which I'm actually going to look up, which kind of raised awareness to it. And they were talking an awful lot about their experiences with how their loved ones had experienced healthcare and recognition of the condition. And we are still so far behind in some areas. We're making huge steps. There is hopefully cures on the horizon, and we're getting better and better with the kind of treatment of. But it's still the understanding of the illness which surprises me at a quite a person to person basis. I was also delivering a dementia awareness course down in an NHS setting down south. I won't give details of, but I had a lady on the course who'd actually been working. She was the lead nurse on a dementia ward, so she'd been working there for 10 years. She said, I think she'd been working on dementia ward, and I did a training session for them where we talked about the condition. We looked at it. It was obviously I catered it to the level, so I went for a slightly higher level of understanding related to. And at the end, I got some of the nicest feedback I've ever had, which was I've learned more in the last 3 hours than I have in 10 years working on the wards. And initially, I felt really positive about that, going, what a compliment. That's an amazing thing to hear, that how engaged they were with the subject and how I gave them new information. However, that's also something that's incredibly worrying. The fact that somebody's been working with those living with the condition for 10 years, and yet I just told her about certain things she didn't know. A prime example is some of the other ways that dementia can affect a person's things like sensory processing. So affecting things like the way they process visual information. So when she's been telling people on her ward that look where you're going, she didn't realise that the fact that they were looking where they were going the best they could with what they had left. And that's it's kind of concerning. I think it's something that we should we need to pay more attention to. I think improving our understanding about all conditions, and this is where I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do, that educating people about conditions, whether it be dementia, whether it be understanding autism spectrum conditions, whether it be understanding ADHD. So many people are directly or indirectly affected by these different conditions, and yet if they don't understand them, how can they understand the people who have them? Now, it's not to say that when you know one person with dementia, it doesn't mean we now understand the individual, no more than knowing the individual means we now understand dementia. But it really does help us to understand where maybe some of their challenges may come in, to better improve our empathy towards them. So I thought I'd just do a quick one on this today, just to kind of raise awareness. I'd love to know of any experiences you've had where you wish that individuals had known more about the subject, known more about the condition itself, whether it be dementia or autism or fetal spectrum disorder or pathological demand avoidance or any of the different conditions that maybe or have somebody in your life that's got a diagnosis of, and I wish that more people had that knowledge and understanding to better relate to them, better empathise with them, and better meet their needs. I'd love to hear from you. Pop something in the chat.